Okay, so we're going to start talking about healthy relationships. How many of you guys in here actually have a partner right now? Okay, about half of you. All right. So most of you are single. Some of you are single parents, right? And as we know, it's kind of hard to date sometimes when you have a child, right? And you go to school and work. So a lot of times when we get start relationships or are in relationships, we're not even aware of like what a good healthy relationship looks like. But it's really important to be able to recognize what a good relationship looks like so that you can recognize when it's not. So what are some of the qualities we either look for in our partner or we have in our partner if you have one right now?
Trust.
Trust. Somebody who's trustworthy, right? You don't want to be with somebody you can't trust. I think trust is probably the foundation of any good relationship, right?
Somebody said communication here.
Who said communication? Oh, that's really important, isn't it? If you can't talk to each other, then what are you going to do, right? So they share in making decisions with you, right? It's no fun having somebody tell you what you're going to do, right? No, we're going to go here to eat tonight because that's what I want to eat. Okay, what about being comfortable being alone? Do you think that's an important aspect to having a partner, right? Because it's really easy when you fall in love, right? Falling in love is easy. You're walking along, you just kind of trip and fall. And that's an easy thing to do. And then you want to spend all your time with that person, right? But what happens when the honeymoon starts to go away and you have to like kind of submerge and go back to your own lives? And as somebody who goes to school full time, if you're raising a child, if you do have a job, knows that sometimes your time is limited, right? So if you have a partner that's okay with being alone, then that's going to be okay. If not, they're going to constantly be competing for your time, right? Somebody who accepts you for who you are, not for how you look. If you have had a child, you know your body changes, doesn't it? Right? And if not, it's like, what if somebody's with you because you have really long, beautiful hair, and one day you get like a really short haircut, and all of a sudden they're just like, what happened, No, if they're with you for who you are inside, not for how you look, then that's not going to ever be a problem, no matter how your looks change, right? Has many of the same values as you do. That one's important, and I always use as an example, like say you're somebody who wants to wait for marriage before you're intimate with somebody, and that's whether you are a virgin or not. I mean, a lot of times you can be in a place and then all of a sudden say, you know what, I'm just going to wait until I'm in a really serious, committed relationship before I'm intimate with somebody again. It's really important to have a partner who feels the same way, right? Because if you don't, then there's going to come conflict when that issue arises. So that's just an example, but there's a lot of values, say religious values or things of that nature. So you want to make sure you guys are kind of on the same page with that stuff. And that communication is important, so you know that when you get to know somebody, right? Doesn't expect you to be perfect, because how many people in here are perfect besides me? Anyone? We've got two of us, right? Nobody's perfect, right? So we can't expect somebody to be perfect, because if we do, what happens when we expect somebody, when we have these really high expectations about somebody's actions and we don't give them any room to make mistakes?
You get let down.
Get let down. We get disappointed, right? And then arguments start to happen, fear starts to arise, and then it becomes a really uncomfortable situation, right? These are super important. And a lot of times, again, when we fall in love with somebody and they are the world to us, right? We hung the moon, there's like nothing that you guys were made for each other. You couldn't believe that God actually created two people that were so perfect for each other, right? Isn't that how you feel? So it's really easy to forget your friends, right? It's really easy to say, I just want to spend all my time with this person. So it's really important to make sure that you have friends outside of that dating relationship, right? Because what happens when you need somebody to talk to? What happens when they need somebody to talk to? So having supportive friends other than your partner is important. And making sure you guys let each other spend time with your friends, right? If he wants to go play basketball with his friends, if he wants to go hang out with them, don't give him a hard time about it. And if you want to hang out with your friends, then you definitely want somebody who gives you the room to do that, because it's important to maintain those friendships and maintain those relationships outside of that dating partner, okay? So when that conflict does arise, you want to make sure that you know how to talk through that conflict and not get, because you're going to get angry too. Because when conflict arises, do you think that sometimes we're going to get so angry we want to like scream and yell at somebody? Right? Sometimes we just get mad. It's just going to happen. So we have to learn how to get angry without being violent or abusive, and how to recognize that and allow a partner to get angry, but recognize when it crosses that line to being possibly violent or abusive, okay?
What about someone that's going to invite you places and bring you around their friends?
To make sure you're included in their activities.
Like being embarrassed either.
No, that's true. That is important. You want somebody who's proud of you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my girl. I want to take her where I'm going. Absolutely, for sure. I mean, there's a lot of signs that somebody could be a good partner, right? I mean, like, for example, my boyfriend is really good at computers, right? For me, that's really important because I'm a tech person. So I need somebody that can come and help me in areas where I'm going to need help. So there's certain things as I get older that I find are important to me. So what are some of the differences that you think that guys might have that are different than girls? What's something a guy might like to do that a girl may not like to do so much? Cars. Right, who said that? You, okay. Cars. What else? Video games, right? I don't know. How many of you guys in here like to play Modern Warfare for 6 hours straight? Okay, that too. All right, and as a former gamer myself, yeah, I was a Zelda fanatic, so I could sit and play like all the Zelda games for like 8 hours straight, right? But then I'm not going to give you my age, but I hit a certain age and was like, all right, I can't really do that anymore and feel responsible, right? So, of course, sometimes there's differences between guys and girls. And again, I'm a football fanatic too. I'm a total Broncos fan, so I can sit and watch some games on Sunday. But I'm usually only interested in watching my team, or if there's like the playoff games, so I can see who's going to play my team next. But most guys, they don't care. They'll watch any team, right? Even if some flag football local team, right? So let's look at this stuff. And some of this is kind of funny, but what does this say to you? What do you think? What does that say? The girl that she must be pretty. Or so I've also heard that she might be wearing something that is a little provocative. But I looked at this and I saw this just means that girls are a lot more social.
Yeah.
You know, they like to talk a lot. They're like, okay, I'm going to use the social sites to make more friends, right? Okay, what about this one?
The fact that guys only see certain colors.
Maybe they only see certain colors, right? So what else does that say? That their mind is what? A little simpler, right? Maybe their mind is a little bit more simple. All right, so again, it's funny, and I don't want you to take this as an absolute, but, you know, a lot of times, how many times do we sit and think our minds, I mean, you know, a lot of times girls, analytical minds, we're processing everything, we want to think of all the details of, well, what is he thinking? And how many times do we ask them, what are you thinking right now? Like, and there's this video that we watch that is a comedian that talks about the differences between guys and girls, and he talks about the different boxes. And he actually says that guys have all these boxes, and things are isolated in each box. Like for every issue, whether it's the kids, the car, the house, the wife, the parents, it all has a separate box, right? And when a guy thinks about something, they pull out that box, they think about only what's in that box, they make sure not to deal with anything else in any of the other boxes, and then they put it away, right? Girls, everything's connected. The car's connected to the house, connected to the kids, connected to the job, right?
Yeah.
So if we look at this, and they have this really important box called the nothing box, right? So when you look at them and say, so what are you thinking about? And they say, nothing. They really mean it, right? Or they're thinking about something that's completely different than maybe what we're thinking about. So, and again, this isn't saying that it's true. I mean, some guys are very analytical as well. But just on a general basis, right? Kind of funny. Okay, and this one again is kind of, I look at this and I think, okay, this again we can talk about as funny, but how true sometimes when it thinks about the differences that we may want in a relationship, right? So men are like Bluetooth, they're connected to you when you're nearby, but searches for other devices when you're away, okay? Women are like Wi-Fi, they see all the available devices, but connected to the strongest one, right? And again, not saying that all guys are wandering eyes, right? But when you look at what we may want in a relationship, a lot of times we're looking for different things. A lot of times maybe one partner is looking for that strong, stable partner, and the other one may not be so ready to commit, right? So we just have to make sure that we're aware, whether it's a guy or a girl, sometimes we're going to come to the table with different expectations or desires or needs at that time. And we just want to make sure if that communication is strong, that we're aware of what the expectations of the other person are, okay? Because when we're not, that's when the conflict starts to arise, right? And when the conflict starts to arise, things start getting not so fun. We start fighting, right? Jealousy, think jealousy is something that causes a lot of fights. What are you doing looking at her? I saw the way that you were looking at her. I don't care if you guys have been friends since kindergarten. You're mine now, and I saw the way she was looking at you, right? Or he's telling you he doesn't care if you've been friends with this person since kindergarten and that this person has helped you through a lot of problems. He's a guy. It's disrespectful to me if you're hanging out with him, right? So you better not be hanging out with him anymore, right? Things can be misconstrued. So then jealousy starts to happen, conflict starts to arise, fights start to happen. And what happens when it becomes borderline questionable? What happens when we start moving from the place of having some healthy arguments to being controlling behavior, okay? How many of you guys have actually heard of the term teen dating violence before? Okay, what about domestic violence? Should be right, most of you. All right, so dating violence and domestic violence are about one thing, power and control, okay? Both of them are about one partner trying to exercise power and control over the other partner, okay? In the world of domestic violence that I live in, day in and day out, there's an actual definition that was created for teen dating violence, okay, which is the pattern of actual or threatened acts of physical, sexual, emotional, and technological abuse perpetrated by an adolescent against a current or former dating partner, including insults, coercion, social sabotage, sexual harassment, threats, and acts of physical, sexual abuse, or emotional abuse, and stalking, right? I put this up here and I read it to you because I want you to see, look at how many of the behaviors are under the umbrella of dating violence, all right? It's a lot of different behaviors. It's just not one partner hitting somebody else or being physically abusive or calling somebody else names. I mean, there are a lot of different behaviors that are considered abusive, controlling, and violent behavior. And we'll talk about that, but especially in the day and age of technology, right? How many of you guys in here don't have a cell phone? None of you, okay? We live by cell phones. How many of you sleep with your cell phone? Okay. Okay, so somebody has access to you. Do you not sleep with your cell phone? Good for you. All right. So people have access to us, or we have access to them usually 24 hours a day, right? So we have a whole different way that we can try to control somebody else, right? Wanting to know where they are all the time. Because if you sleep with your cell phone, they should be able to get a hold of you, right?
I think Facebook causes a lot of
drama.
Yeah, and especially with relationships, I think it's like one of the biggest things for me anyway.
I agree. I mean, Facebook is like best asset, worst enemy, right? Technology in itself can be almost the best asset, worst enemy. We came into this world of technology embracing it, going, this is so amazing and awesome, not really thinking about the consequences that come with it, right? And Facebook being one of them, because that one can be dangerous for sure. I mean, come on, what happens when your ex from middle school contacts you on Facebook when they haven't talked to you for 3 years and you're in a committed relationship, but all of a sudden you remember, oh my gosh, I remember that person. They were my first love, and then it can be dangerous, right? So you're right.